Alrighty, folks. So today's interview is a special one. It is a massive, massive interview. It's one of those ones that gets everyone excited. And just the numbers in general we'll talk about today are definitely life-changing. So without further ado, I've got Sid here. Sid is a young agent from Ontario, and he's part of the Agent Attraction Accelerator program. So let's just get into it, Sid. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, how long have you been in real estate? And just tell us a little bit more about yourself in general.
For sure, Prab. Thanks for the opportunity. I'm honestly honored to be part of the program, the digital accelerator program here. It's been extremely transformational in my business. A little background about myself here. I've been in business in real estate for over 10 years, mostly a solo agent, just doing my thing, selling homes, resale homes primarily. Found an opportunity in essentially helping realtors scale their business with lead generation and essentially kind of systemizing that in a way where they can help recruit other agents and build teams. Long story short, I was facing a lot of trouble with being able to help agents and scale because I didn't have a product really to scale. I was just doing everything on a one-on-one basis. That's when I met Prab. I took advantage of really the digital accelerator program here. And long story short, I mean, he really knows how to scale an online lead generation business. And in my experience here, you know, always kind of coming from value and essentially being able to really help real estate agents with their bottlenecks was where I really benefited. So, I mean, I'm not sure if, I mean, I answered your question there, but my background is pretty straightforward. Just a realtor that built a team of real
Nice.
other real agents.
Yeah, so I think, basically like just to confirm, I think you were telling me earlier as well as like you're in real estate for, a little bit and then obviously, looked at like, making money online and like, digital products and like helping agents, right? And one of the things you struggle with is like how the heck do I actually help agents? Because obviously, most people in real estate, right? Like the people that make the most amount of money typically have the most amount of impact, and the most amount of impact also, trickles down to how many people you help, right? So if you just take a look at a bird's eye view, if you are helping agents and they're helping their clients, the money always trickles upwards in the system, right? It's like a rule. It's a law basically, right? And that is the reason why the biggest entrepreneurs in the world, they provide the most amount of value. So ultimately, you want to provide more value, you want to earn more money, and one of the ways you saw that happening was maybe instead of working one-to-one with buyers and sellers, why don't I help other agents do the same thing and the money will trickle upwards? And I think as another byproduct of that is just gonna work from home. You don't have to leave your house. You don't have to deal with the buyers and seller problems, and you can work from anywhere, right? And I think a lot of agents, especially that watch this channel and interviews like this, I think they really are in a place where like maybe they are already an agent attractor. They might be at a downline brokerage and trying to scale because they failed at it before. Or maybe they just don't want to do production and they're sick and tired of it and they want to help agents and they know they can help agents, but they just don't know how. So I think you saw us on an ad. Now before you got obviously started, right? Did you like ever have doubts that like because you probably saw some of the big wins in the community, like we got Will doing like 300 grand months, like all these people doing big months, right? Did you have doubts like are these numbers really real? Like did you ever think to yourself for a second, or did you always believe that it could be possible?
Yeah, that's a great question. I did have my self-doubts. I'm not gonna lie. I did feel like, how are these people making what people don't even make in a year in just 1 month? But when I started to surround myself with the community that you've kind of created here, and really when I was asking questions, they were forthcoming with answers. You were forthcoming. It started to make sense, right? I was always hitting roadblocks with scaling my business. And it's like I was always being given the right answers from yourself and the experts. And that made me believe that this is possible a lot more, right? And in addition to all of that, I mean, I felt like I mean, coming in from a background of marketing, I know people do it. I know it, and I know it happens. It's just I never could reach any of those people. Either they had like multiple people, multiple assistants, or a bunch of like programs to really reach these people, or it was just difficult, right? So when I was able to kind of just go be part of this community, ask questions, it made it very, very achievable. I mean, ultimately, I think it was quite helpful.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people have that as well. Like when they come into like the agent attraction accelerator program, right? Like a lot of them, some people obviously coming in have made $100,000 a year or even sometimes millions, right? But obviously that came as a byproduct of being in real estate for a long time, or referrals, or like it's obviously more work. So like when you have people coming in making 300 grand a month from their laptop, it's like holy crap, like that's a lot of money. And I think sometimes it gets hard to believe, right? But that's the
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. And the crazy part about this is that like when I was doing real estate, selling homes, the sales cycle was like 3, 4 months, right? So for me to be able to do, 100K in just 1 month, I had needed a team, but then I also needed to like work with dozens of buyers and sellers to really hit these numbers. But here it's like, with a digital product, sales cycle is just, I mean, literally, a couple of hours or day or two, and the money just keeps trickling in. And byproduct, of course, is being able to help real estate agents be part of their transformation and really help them kind of grow. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, I think in general, like I think the biggest thing that a lot of people have, especially is like that imposter syndrome, like, oh, like can I help agents? And like I think a lot of people, like even some of our biggest case studies, like, I've always interviewed and like, not like they were like the number one agent in Canada, right? I think it comes from a place of can you help people solve a very specific problem that they want? And I think right now, I mean, like most people that I know in the agent accelerator program, like, they're selling or marketing a digital product that allows agents to, usually get more listings, book more appointments, lead gen. This is what I've seen that works well. Now, do you have to do a program on that? No. Like we have people in our program that teach agents sales coaching. We have people that only, focus on commercial coaching, right? In the end of the day, like, I think the word coach is also like a scary word for most people because they think they have to become the next Tom Berry
Right.
or like Craig Proctor, but it's just you're really just helping people. And I think one of the big things as well is like, like even for that one specific problem, we do give like a white label solution. A lot of the stuff is, in that thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
couldn't
for
agree more there, Prab. Like myself coming into the program as well, I had my strengths. It was really on the Facebook lead generation side with video ads. So although everybody was doing something different, right, the program has certain fundamentals that it teaches. We always put our personal spin to it to really kind of unique and make ourselves a no-brainer offer, right? Speaking of that, like, I mean, just like you said, when we're really marketing this, the competition is usually other marketers who aren't licensed. They're not realtors most of the time. So if someone here is watching and I mean you're licensed, you're already ahead of the game, right? And then now if you just add like this digital product on your back burner here, it's just, people, this is what they're looking for. Every agent's looking for leads, right? Everyone's looking for sales training for that matter.
yeah.
So it
And
helps
I
quite a
think
bit.
I think like one of the things as well, which we'll talk about shortly, which is like attraction and like, growing your downline or growing your even like sometimes people watch as brokerages. In the end of the day, like the market's getting very sophisticated, getting very competitive. Most markets, from a marketing rule, they always get more and more saturated because, as more and more competitors emerge, like for example, right now, it's just very difficult. Like if I'm just gonna go try to attract EXP or real brokerage, it's very difficult just to go and be like, hey, join my brokerage. Because like here's the thing, like you were doing that, but so are hundreds or thousands of other people doing the same thing. So you have to lead with value first. And like with the digital product, it allows you to do that. Same thing as well for like even like a brokerage, right? Independent brokerage locally. Like one of the big things is having a brand and a presence and like being that person that everyone's seen. And doing that's very expensive. So the only way to really offset that cost of marketing, one of the best ways, not the only way, is to either charge for a digital product. I've also seen people as well in our community that are independent brokerages that will run an ad and then like they'll get people and they'll charge an onboarding fee. In the end of the day, it allows you to like, get paid to attract. So let's talk about that concept of getting paid. And then I know we haven't actually done attraction yet with yourself, but let's talk about the payment part. Like, I mean, you've scaled up pretty quickly. So talk about how your ramp up period was, how you scaled up, your biggest month so far. Tell us a little bit more about that. Like, how fast did it take you to really ramp up? I think you had like almost a six-figure month there. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I think you and I just met like maybe 2 months ago. Like that's when we really started. And it's phenomenal. Like I what I have really achieved in this last, just 1 month, I could have never really imagined was possible. I mean, I've done about 90, we're almost hitting 100K in the last 4 weeks. And it's really just tackling the right things at the right time, right? Marketing was an issue, we solved that. Then it was the sales, added another salesperson. Now I'm finding myself have more time and make more money than I was when I was doing everything myself. So yeah, I mean, uh, I think yeah, this success is kind of just based off of all the teachings that you provided there.
And like right now, obviously, like you guys are like doing six-figure months, like you're gonna get to $1 million business eventually, you really get to like that 300K a month mark. And like some people don't even want to do that, right? But obviously, some people do. Like, some people in our program are just very happy with 30 to 50K a month digital product sales. They're tracking agents, they're growing their rev share, passive income, they're working less, earning more. Like that's really the dream for most people. So for yourself, right? Like you have people selling the digital product for you, which is salespeople. And then, I think you're running the ads right now yourself, right? Or do you have a media buyer?
No, I'm running the ads myself because I have a little bit of that background. And yeah, I mean, I do have a salesperson handling the sales calls. I have a client success manager handling kind of the fulfillment side. I'm mostly focusing on content creation and branding myself at the moment. But going back to really what you said, I'm definitely wearing a lot of hats right now, and really doesn't allow me to start doing production on real estate side of things. Some people may ask sometimes that, hey, are you still kind of practicing real estate? And in all honesty, I find that obviously, like, I can't dedicate time to two things anymore, but also, like, they appreciate that because they see me as fully dedicated, not a conflict of interest. I was doubtful earlier that, hey, if I'm not actually producing, can I really recruit people that are producing? So I just wanted to mention that, hey, now like I've shifted gears, but it's only helping me.
And I think you put a lot of good points there because, one, it's like, people really care about the value you provide. But secondly, it's like, it doesn't even make sense for most people to do production if you have like $100,000 a month online income from like, laptops. So it's like, most people, like some people, I know some agents that obviously do make hundreds of thousands of dollars a month in GCI, but what I know from most people inside the agent track starter program is they get to a point where they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. They're like, is production even worth this? Or start referring out all my deals? Because there's, it's also like it's optional, right? Like I know some people they still want to keep doing production. Maybe they enjoy it. Maybe, it does produce a lot of money. And I think there's always that question of like, do I have to stop production to do this? And that's absolutely no, because even some of our clients, like, some of them still make 50K a month, 40K a month digital product sales. They still do production, right? It just comes to a point where now, that's not their only income stream. But the other thing as well is like, you can keep on doing production with this, but if you want to get to the $100,000 a month mark or more, 200,000, then it actually doesn't even make sense for most people to do production anymore, right? And that's what I've seen with some of our top clients as well. And they can start referring out the deals, right?
Yeah,
And
there's a lot of variables to doing production, the market, the interest rates, political changes, and then, the mood of your client, like, because they're
yeah,
making the biggest purchase of their lives. So I'm sure agents can relate to this, that sooner or later you phase out, you do kind of get a bit, concerned of whether
yeah.
your income is going to stay consistent.
And I think also like I was talking to some of our clients the other day as well, like the hurricane hit in Florida, you know, like even COVID, like everyone was like sort of screwed, right? Like with that whole change and whole shift in the market. So if you have that income coming in for the digital product sales, I think a lot of people get scared because they think it's a whole different thing. But And we have a lot of people in the program that are still doing this and production at the same time. But I think the biggest takeaway from this is like if you want to get into the game of, attracting folks, like for example, we'll talk about traction shortly here and recruiting and stuff. And like, you have to put that hat on and make that identity. Because if you take a look at even like guys at the top of the game, let's just talk about downline brokerages for that matter, right? Like talk about the revenue share folks. The biggest people are selling digital products, and that's what they're doing full time to attract and recruit agents. And that's why some of them are making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, profit passively. And I always look back at it from a bird's eye view. It's like, well, they're doing that for a reason, and that's why they're at the level that they're at. I think a lot of people, don't look at it from that lens. It's like, well, if you want to be like them, you have to do what they're doing. And there has to be identity shift taking place. Like, I have to do this now. This has to be my main thing. If I want it to be my main thing, right? I think a lot of people, when it comes to even revenue share or an agent attraction, I think a lot of them like they want the end result, but no one's willing to go through the transformation or identity change needed to do that.
Yeah.
So even for yourself, like you were doing production and all that, right? I think there was like probably a fine line of like, should I keep doing production? Should I go all in on this thing? Like what has more money potential? Would you say that like, did you experience that? Like that little almost like that no man's land area, which I think some people do. And B, like, I think there's what really helped you like overcome that and get motivated? Like, was it the community of other people making all the other money, all the big money months? Like, what was it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I definitely did have that mindset where I was in no man's land in the beginning. Felt like, I was learning something new and it was a bit overwhelming. But when I did my first sale, like it was so quick and seamless. Like it was just somebody reaching out on social media, just one phone call, a quick close. And I almost felt like it was like too good to be true. And then that's when like I started seeing the possibilities and started putting in more time. I found you as the community, other people networking with them, started to see like especially you, Prab, like you're not even licensed and you're doing, seven figures. That was extremely inspirational, right? So once I started to kind of look at those possibilities here, I started thinking, okay, yeah, like this digital product makes sense. I actually did have in mind that, hey, I want to grow a team. I want to start attracting more agents. And believe it or not, like now we're at the point where, we've helped over 50 agents in the program. And a lot of times either on sales calls, like before I close people or after I do close them, they ask, hey, can we join your brokerage? Can we pretty much like partner up? Can we do like kind of a pay per close kind of thing? There's so many ways they ask and they want to partner up. And obviously, like right now, I'm considering a cloud brokerage. I should be a part of one soon. And that way, then I'll be able to give them that back end offer. But like the truth is here that I mean it happens naturally. Like I don't even have to push it. I don't have to sell it. All I did focus on here is how do I improve that digital product? How do I like make it so streamlined that they come in and just get results? And once that happens, everything else is a byproduct.
I think one of the biggest things that happens is like the agent attraction piece of revenue share and attractions recruiting is always there. Like people start reaching out themselves. I mean, I have tons of other interviews with other clients. They say the same thing. Um, I think a big problem that a lot of people in our program do is like sometimes they make so much money from the digital product sales that they forget about attracting and recruiting. But that's a good thing to do, right? But I think you should always be recruiting because it's that one thing that compounds, especially from a downline perspective. The thing that compounds from an independent broker's perspective is a thing that has enterprise value. Because I know some independent brokers want to build and exit and sell for tens of millions, like the agent count and like that's going to be very important. And like even as well, like you have people on your calls that come to your sales team without you being involved and like, hey, is there a way I can get into like, a program where I just split my revenue? Like I don't have to pay for this stuff. And that's a perfect conversation opportunity for like the salesperson to be like, yeah, you know what? Sid does offer like a VIP program where you don't have to pay for this. Are you open to hearing more? And then just book that call for you on your calendar directly. And that's like a natural segue that I've seen. You're still getting paid, right? Because other people might not want to do that right away, but you're getting your downline's growing already. Like let's say talk about downline. Same thing applies for brokerages too. But on the back end, you have 50 plus agents, you're providing value to them. They view you as the expert. You have a group coaching call on Zoom. They're all looking at you. You are the expert. You have a lot of influence. Most of the time, people just reach out to themselves like, hey, Sid, I want to work with you at a closer level. That's when you say, hey, partner up with me at so-and-so brokerage. I think also the benefits that most people don't see is like those people typically don't churn out as much because they have a personal connection with you and you build that. You don't lose money on the attraction piece. They're actually the right agents as well. I mean, the possibilities are endless. I think one of the clients that, Sammy, I think he was talking about it. So he moved to Toronto for a little bit. He's from BC, Canada. And he built like a team there because the split's better, right? Because he makes more money. So he recruits into his team and he also grows his downline for folks that are out of the area, right? So,
Yeah.
I think one of the things as well is like you're marketing all over North America or just Canada right now?
All over North America.
So US and Canada agents, right?
Well, actually, I should say just Canada right now, not the States.
Okay. Well, eventually you're gonna expand with your marketing. You
That's
can,
the plan.
yeah, it's just a simple change to the ad level, right? Targeting. But yeah, I think like even for the people that watch this, like they want to grow their downline, they want to grow their rev share, like this is really the only way to do it, like to market all across, right? Because if you market all across North America, I mean, you're paying, how much are you guys spending per month on ads right now? Like ballpark,
So this month I checked, it was around 7, 8-ish grand.
70. So you're
Um,
making like above a 10x return. But that's only because you're selling something, right? So I think here's the thing that a lot of agent attractors, recruiters don't see. Um, they don't think this far. So they're like, okay, well, to get, that much influence, and you guys are probably marketing to tens of thousands of agents, right?
yeah,
It costs you guys just in Canada alone, 7 or 8K, right?
right.
Um, Now, a lot of agent attractors don't think about like they want to grow their revenue share, they want to grow their downline, all that kind of stuff. But then are they willing to lose 7 or 8 grand a month on marketing? Because that is the
Right.
thing that really happens, right? Because
Right.
you guys are
Yeah,
probably speaking to hundreds of agents,
we
right?
are. We're definitely sorting through as many as we can. There's certain steps we have now in place to not take calls that aren't qualified, meaning agents that we don't see a fit. But 100%, there's an investment in anything you do, right? That's how you make money. Here, just like you said, it's a no-brainer. The ROI is there. The risk is like negligible because you're not paying everything up front. It's all in increments as you start making sales. So it's just really a no-brainer, right?
And I think a question for you is I think a lot of people would be interested in is like, well, how many agents are you guys speaking to per week right now on average, or like per day even?
Yeah, for sure. So initially, when we were kind of doing, the 100K month last month, it was around five-ish t calls a week, like a day, right? Not a whole lot because we're filtering out a lot of the people that weren't qualified. Now we're at the point where we need to refresh our ads. We need to get them back up and obviously running again. But that's kind of the ballpark, like five-ish calls a day.
And do you see yourself getting that up to 10 to 15 calls a day with more salespeople, right? Like, do you see
Yeah.
yourself?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. It's like at a point where now all of my efforts are just going into marketing, into improving the ads. And I'm at the point where like now even if I have to spend 50K on ads, I'm confident that because I'm not doing the work of turning that money into and return on investment, it's almost like I want to just pour as much as I can in there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I think that's what happens to a lot of people in our program. They're like, like what's working? Why can't I do this at 300 grand a month or 200 grand a month, right? Why
Yeah.
can't I net over $1 million in take home income every single year from the internet? I think that's what happens, which is a good problem to have. And I think, I think a lot of people don't understand this. It's like, if we talk about purely recruiting and attraction perspective, right? I think this is just, I know we're having an interview, but I think we're just talking about a lot of different tangent points. But like, um, if you think about it, anyone that's trying to recruit or attract, you're making a sale, and the sale is in the form of like, you're gonna get more value. You're exchanging value, and the way they're gonna pay and compensate for the value is through their commission and revenue share. Anyways, like You're still a marketer, you're still a salesperson. Now, here's the thing, right? The person that attracts the most amount of agents talks to the most amount of agents as well, right?
Right.
Now, the only way to talk to more agents is you can either do cold outbound, which is very difficult, very competitive, very saturated. You sound like everyone else, or you can get people to come to you and attract them, which is through paid ads and delivering and showing the value. Like, for example, people are coming to your calendar because there's a value discrepancy. They're not getting it at their company, at their own brokerage. They're booking on your calendar because they want to work with, they see this guy named Sid. He's all over their Instagram newsfeed, Facebook newsfeed. Like this Sid guy has something that I want. They come and book on your calendar, 5 people a day. You can easily get to 10 or 15, and they're willing to pay you with their credit card. Now, you can very much be like, hey, look, like you don't have to pay for it. You can come and partner up with me. There are obviously rules about that. Like not every brokerage allows that. There are obviously, also conditions where if the whole company gets it, then you can offer that. But you can't be like, I don't know how it is. I think it's at EXP is a little bit different, but most brokerages, they'll be like, hey, look, like you can't promise coaching in exchange. And that's fine. That's why you sell the digital product first, deliver value, and then on the back end they join. So for yourself, like, do you see, yourself like in the next few months, few weeks here as well? Like, you're thinking about doing a cloud-based brokerage, and like, do you see yourself growing a downline or a revenue share network? Do you also see yourself cherry picking the best people and growing like a local team and getting a split? Like, do you see yourself as almost like not the only, that's another revenue stream, right? You're still making money from digital product sales. You could be doing multiple six figures a month, but do you see yourself also doing that as like as a side thing?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you ask because I am in that crossroad right now where my salesperson is really kind of getting his brain churning and really thinking that, hey, these calls I'm going on are with solid agents that want to produce and just need guidance. So why not, first of all, sell the product to them, see how they perform, and if they're, good with the program and they get results, then it's a natural progression to start partnering up and doing like kind of a pay-per-close model with them. So building that local team. So we're definitely in that progress and that process right now to build out kind of that local team here.
Uh-huh.
But in addition to that, I really like the idea of the cloud-based brokerage because then it's like, okay, well, what happens if an agent decides to do their own thing and they don't want to be sharing 50-50 splits, right? Do we say goodbye to them? Do we stop making money on them, especially when we've already trained them and like we've put in all this time and effort? So it's nice to know that that retention is there and that when they leave, you're still kind of getting kickback on everything they do. So yeah, that part 100% like once we
Uh-huh.
build a team, we want to keep that. We want to have a cloud brokerage.
And I think most people as well, like if most agent attractors, like, or even like in general, real estate entrepreneurs, I say entrepreneur because the entrepreneurs is the people that really benefit in the real estate game, not just the agent. You got to think with the entrepreneur hat. I think a lot of, people don't want to get into team building. They realize the team model is not ideal all the time because it's so hard to get the right agents on. A team works well if you have absolute studs and killers on your team, right? And that's a rule across the whole sales industry in general. You can't have mediocre salespeople. And the way to get the cherry pick, and I think most people don't look at it this way. Like, the real estate business has many income streams, right? One of them could be digital products, one of them could be agent attraction revenue share, one of them could be production. And even like I learned from one of my clients, Amir, he has so many different income streams in his business. He even has flips, and it just becomes like a whole ecosystem. And I think this is just a way to really expand that ecosystem. So we're gonna start to wrap things up. But what I see for most people, even yourself, is like you got the digital product side. You're making a few $1 million a year in digital products. You're making cash flow, you're making income. Your production side, that actually, you can either just, I mean, like for most people, they start referring at their production deals, or they cherry pick the top people from the digital product and they place them into their team. Now,
Yeah.
the team is something that, obviously another income stream for them, but they're also, those agents now view them as like an honor that this person actually reached out to me and asked me to be part of their team, which is another thing. Some people want to take it to national teams. They want to go all over. That's also that too. But like most people I see, local team, they dominate because now they have agents that bought from them that paid them with a credit card. And now those are people that view them as the experts. They cherry pick for their team. And then some people also recruit and build their downline as well. So that's like we're already right there, three revenue streams. And the team thing is optional too. That's up to them, right? And then some people, what I've also seen is like so the downline thing and the revenue share brokerage, the compounding thing. I think you're probably in your late 20s or 30s or early 30s or but like
Really.
most people like when they get into the 50, 60, like they want to have something that is like is legacy or they pass on to their family. So that could either be for many people like the passing on the downline income revenue share, right? Some people, right, like that watch this video, like they want to, grow the independent brokerage, they want to exit and make tens of millions. That's also a thing too. So everything is fueled by the digital product because that's where the community aspect starts. The community allows know, like, and trust, and that's how they build it, right? And I just think applying like a contrarian perspective here, like I take a look at the biggest entrepreneurs. You've probably heard of Sam Evans, Alex Hormozi, um, Alex Becker. These are internet entrepreneurs you see on YouTube. And these people, before they built something big, they built a community. Now that something big could be the revenue share and real estate perspective, but what those guys did is they built the community, they launched a software company off of it. So the thing is, it's like building that community element of agents that know, like, and trust you is huge, and everything catapults off of that. So
Yeah.
yourself, right? Where do you see yourself heading the next few months? Revenue wise, agent attraction wise, what's your plans? What are your next steps in 2025?
For sure, yeah. It's always been $1 million as soon as possible. Ideally, like I mean, I gave myself a year to hit that. But now with the pace I'm at, I can see me hit it a lot quicker. In terms of the production, I do want to start having a team. I want to have A players, just like you said. So cherry pick the ones that are really they learn the program fast and they can implement quickly. Uh, just like you said, I mean, the challenge I face, especially before I started the coaching program, is the fact that how do I trust agents? Like, how do I know if they're going to stick around? They're not going to just learn everything and leave, or they're not going to report like sales they do on their own versus the ones that are happening with the team. These were all kind of challenges I had, but now like I've noticing that once they're in the program and we get a sense of our chemistry and like build that like know and trust factor, it's easier for me to just start partnering with them long term. So my goal, if I were to really summarize, is A, to have like a team of A players in the real estate kind of space, and then also being like having this uh, online lead generation program hit 6 figures a month consistently while I'm pretty much like out of the picture. Like I don't want to be as much involved in the day to day. So that's
Yeah,
another thing.
that's definitely the goal. I think I remember talking to one of our clients, Will. They're doing like 300 to 400K a month, big, big numbers, right? And he's pretty much removed. So, I mean, there is a place and a way where you can make 300 to 400K a month online. That's like the upper level of it, without actually being involved in the trenches. And then, you focus on the higher leverage thing, which is sitting on as many attraction recruiting calls all day, building a team, building a downline, building a personal brand, YouTube. That's your highest leverage thing. I think that's a dream for most people, right? Like that's the ideal state. So for anyone that's watching this right now that is on the fence, what are your tips for them? And also give your words of wisdom of how, most people are held back, like, despite their own imposter syndrome. Like give us your words of wisdom on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So if I were to say like essentially I was a shy guy, right? I was somebody that uh like hated public speaking, being on camera. I was just, very reserved. I'm an interpersonal person. Like I'm an introvert, I should say, right? And so I struggled with these things, but I found that hey, like if I need to pretty much, be social, if I'm gonna have a business like this, I'm gonna have to get out of my comfort zone. So one thing led to another. I mean, surrounding yourself really with the right people is where it all starts. And then from there on, it's really, personal development, reading the right books, listening to the right things, having that morning routine locked down. Um, that was huge for me. Every day, if like it's almost like a battle where I go through all of my day-to-day things from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. more or less. Then it's like, all right, now if I've done all of that, I got to make the rest of the day worthwhile because I woke up really early. And so it's just like, yeah, it's all compounding. It's the subtle things that you don't really see, but they make a huge difference.
100%. Yeah, and I think how about for people that like are sort of like having like they probably look at you to like, oh, you're a young guy, you're a sharp guy, but maybe I'm not like qualified like you, right? What are your tips for them? Because like, maybe, take that like the white label for instance, like maybe what are your words of wisdom for those people?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say that it's definitely like so when you made that program, it's so extensive, first of all. It's so like you've kind of touched on all the possible things that agents have challenges with. So just run with that. Like I literally just copied the white label program. I still have it and I still use just that. Like I mean, there's hours, if not months, if I'm not wrong, in time involved in recording everything and putting all the documents together. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So if there's one thing I've really learned, it's the fact that just listen to people that have been there and done that and just follow their advice. Don't try to, there's so many times I get distracted too with shiny objects. There's something else, another lead generation program out there, another program, another coach offering something. But the fact that you're in the same industry and you've done it, you've been there. I just literally follow everything that you've said, and in return, I start seeing results trickle in. Of course, there's going to be tweaks you have to make based on your market, based on who you are, but the fundamentals don't change, right? So, uh, yeah, I mean, you've made it very simple, Prab, and that's why it works, right? So as long as those steps are followed, you're gonna see the results. Just turn off your emotions, turn off like the distractions, surround yourself with the right people. You'll see results.
I love it, man. Yeah, I appreciate the time. This is always great, and I just see yourself like, hopefully in a few months from now, maybe another call. But I think you could definitely be that 300K a month or more. I think all you just gotta do is double down on what's working, do more of it, and I think definitely, like I think you're definitely missing out on the people that maybe at least don't buy from you and getting them converted into maybe your downline or revenue share. Like you could just really blow this up and these things obviously, it can get a little bit tempting to go fast, but I'd always say, take it slow, take it patient, and just build something really, really big, which I think, you guys are going to crush it. So, yeah, I appreciate the time, man. I know you're a busy guy, $1 million entrepreneur, you're crushing it. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, we'll talk soon. See you, man.
Sounds like a plan, brother.